Hello and welcome to Coffee and Bonsai with Tom. Today we're going to work on another one of these large rough plants. As before, I'm going to start by cutting away the packaging, very well packaged, and see what we've got here. This one has quite a trunk, but man, I can also tell there are going to be a lot of heavy roots hidden away down here. I got this material from Connie from I believe Southern California on Facebook, and I bought some of these. I guess this is the second, maybe the third time I've bought some stuff from her, and this just large material. This just worked out really well. I haven't lost any of them yet. I think this is the biggest stuff that I've gotten so far, and you really, you're getting. Oh man, look at those roots. You're getting some super, rough material here, and you really have to work on it aggressively to get it kind of where you want it. And this one has practically no leaves on it, so we'll see. I usually start by, you can see this is damaged, so I just take that off. And go through and just get rid of anything that's damaged, because these I mean, they heal somewhat, but not something like that. It's just wobbling along or rotted or soft. You want to cut it right back to healthy material. And, ideally you want to sterilize your instruments, which I did before I started, but you should even do that, you know, as you're going. So I'm committing a few sins here, but mostly because I think um, we're probably going to cut most of this off anyway. I'm kind of just coming in. Uh, wow, look at this huge root along the bottom. Man, I'm just trying to get a handle on even what's going on with this. Um, I mean, the good news is it's got sort of a nice flare at the base, but it's just sitting on a huge mass of roots. And I guess I could just plant this whole thing, but I just don't like that idea. So I'm going to cut this off and see where we are after that. And this is tough going. This is really thick. I mean, it's soft, but just the sheer mass of the root, um, makes it a bit difficult to cut all the way through it. But we're getting there. And I do have a Sawzall, which I've threatened to use before on working on some of these trees, but I think I may actually do it this time because it'll rip cleanly through this in like 2 seconds. Little battery powered unit, so it's so convenient. I use it for all kinds of stuff around the house. If you don't have one of those, just get one. I mean, they're not even very expensive, and the thing I like about it, it comes with a battery that lasts about 20 minutes, um, which is about all I can do before I need a rest. So it's like a perfect match. And my arms are tired. I'm going to drag this thing over to the Sawzall and be back momentarily. Yeah, that is cooking with gas. So much easier. And, so I made a few decisions there and just cut off the sides. And I think, take a look at it here, but I think this is close to, I mean, look at what I cut off. This is massive. I have no idea if you can root these or not, but I'm going to try and we'll see what happens. I've read conflicting information about that, but you can see now it's looking a lot better, but I still think we have some more stuff to reduce here. This, maybe I could use that one and cut this larger one off at the bottom, but I got some damage on the end here, so I'm going to clear that out. Yeah, it's a tough decision. As I look at this, I'm not really happy with this kind of lower one that comes. It's almost flat out. It kind of comes straight out of the bottom in the middle right there and just kind of goes over horizontally. no interest, no taper. I'm gonna dig in here. I think. Um, oh yeah, I think I can easily get that out of there. I don't really want to use the Sawzall because it's a little hard to control and something like this. But yeah, that's small enough. I can get it out with my pruners, and there we go. Clean that out a bit. Try to neaten it up and get it right in close. And I think that was quite an improvement. Now I'm planning on um, potting this one a little deeper because, well, I want to encourage a lot of roots to grow um, out of these areas that I'm cutting here. This is tough. I probably should get some smaller scissors, but yeah, we're not gonna have a we're not gonna have a lot of root left by the time we're done with this. I mean, no fine roots is what I mean to say. So the goal here is to get it flat so you can get it into a pot. I've got some crossing stuff here. I think I'm just going to take this off. I mean, we're sort of regrowing the roots here. So in for a penny, in for a pound. I don't really want to have to work with this badly formed stuff that's already there. And now I think this one on the left here is a bit long. So I'm going to try to cut this. Boy, I'm not going to have a whole lot left here. Let me get these a bit closer. Nice flush cut. As long as you dry them out, you know, I found it heals over quickly, and I haven't really had problems with it kind of rotting into the tree. As long as you let it dry out. Yeah, I think that is just about it. So I let it dry out for a good week, and here we're back. And you can see it's kind of like, you know, dried over. And what you really see is like, you know, this center area is very woody, and then the fleshy area kind of shrinks in to touch it. And that pretty much means that it's not going to rot. So I will put it in bonsai soil and then not really water it. I'm going to use this big pot. I think this is a Korean pot. I've had this for many, many years. I just saw it on the bench and it looks like the perfect size for this. It's kind of deep, so you know. I wish I had a shallower one, but it'll be fine. You know, I'll just plant the tree deeper, and I think it'll be a good home for this. So the pot is ready to go. I got some heavy wire in there. These large uh, stumps, trunks, I really want to wire them in because you know they're kind of massive, and you know it's a little harder to hold some of these ones that are bigger, so I feel just more comfortable wiring them in. So yeah, I think it's a nice tight fit for this tree. I will load up some bonsai soil. This is kind of a standard mix I'm using with some of this material where it's about, well, I don't know, it's probably 75% grit, and then you know, it has some pine bark and a little bit of cactus mix thrown in. Um, and that has been working pretty well for me. I sort of change the soil up a little bit every time, and honestly, um, I'm so good with the watering. I don't really think the soil matters too much for me. I mean, as long as you're not watering too often, these things are really not particular at all with the kind of soil they grow in. But definitely want something that's grittier and where the water just shoots through, or you will most certainly run into trouble. So I'm just gonna angle it how I want it. Just kind of dump the soil in under it. I mean, there's no really fine roots here, so I'm basically just positioning the stump in the pot at the angle I want, and then I will wire it in to hold it there. I like to put plastic under here, so you know, it just creates a little bit of um, obstacle from the wire kind of, you know, cutting in, and it kind of spreads the force of what's being pushed across, you know, on that little piece rather than, you know, the tiny area of this wire. And I'm not going to tighten it up too much anyhow, but you know, I don't really want it wiggling around in there, so you know, slightly firm. So I've got it in there, and now you know the wire is firm but not too tight, and now I just kind of will work the soil in, and that, the combination of those two things keeps it really, really solidly in there. And I find I don't really need to use, I get the angle right so you can really do the fine tuning here with the soil. I don't really need to use the rocks, although I definitely use the rocks for smaller material because, I mean, it's just too dangerous to do a lot of wiring on that. So yeah, I'll load it up with soil and get it kind of nice and compacted in where we want it. Let it dry out. I usually put them in a, not a, it's like a semi-shade area. I usually don't give them full sun all day until I see a little bit of action in the leaves, and then they really take off. Some people put it right directly into full sun. I think you can do it either way. I'm just a little more comfortable. Makes me feel better, and I also kind of miss them periodically. Although, yeah, I probably won't be able to do that with these ones, but we'll see. I think they'll be okay. This will be kind of an interesting. It doesn't really have a lot of style. It's sort of a straight up, no taper trunk. But you could do an informal upright or a formal upright. It really depends. It has a lot of rings on it, so I think we can get a ton of branching on this. So I think, there's potential to have a lot of good options for branch selection and developing things there, which is one of the reasons I selected this stump. Um, I've often wondered too. Maybe I do a cathedral style, so more like because I think these would naturally grow in that way, where they sort of come out and then up, and it's almost like you have another whole tree growing on that horizontal branch. And I don't have any bonsai and currently in that style, so that might be an interesting experiment, and I think this could be um, a good candidate for that. But we'll see. First, I just got to get it recovering, and this one I think will take quite a while because it has, just a massive trunk and hardly any foliage at all. And even the foliage that's on there is in pretty bad shape. So yeah, we'll see. It might just take longer. Sometimes these can take a tremendously long time to start growing leaves again. And I think that's about it for this one. Not much to it. I do think it's kind of a nice combination of pot and tree. I'll eventually get it into a much more shallow pot. But yeah, this has a long way to go. So first step is a good thought for the day is just get it healthy. If you don't, it's like us. If your health is everything. If you don't have good health, well, it's hard to really do much other than that. So it's super, super important. But look at all those rings. Yeah, I'm super excited about this one. I think there'll be a lot of options. And that's pretty much a wrap for this tree. Stay tuned, and I will regularly update on the progress of this one, and you can watch it grow and thrive. And well, whatever happens, you'll get to see it on the channel. And I want to thank you so much for watching and spending time with me. And I will see you all again very, very soon.